bringing home a new puppy. It's just, well, pure chaos and cuddles, isn't it? Then you get to the pet food aisle, maybe you're checking prices online, and suddenly the reality of feeding that furry little land shark really hits you. Puppy food, especially the kind you feel good about feeding them, can be seriously expensive.
Yeah.
It immediately makes you think, hang on, could I maybe make this myself? Is it possible to feed them something healthier and maybe even save some money? That question is exactly what we're diving into today. You've shared a stack of sources covering all sorts of things about budget-friendly homemade puppy food. Our mission here is to cut through all that information and pull out the absolute essential insights you need if you're considering this path for your new best friend.
Yeah, and what's particularly compelling about this topic, as you see in the sources, is how several motivations kind of intersect. It's about taking control, like knowing exactly what goes into your puppy's bowl, and then there's the hope that this extra care translates into, better health outcomes, plus the very practical goal of maybe managing costs better.
Okay, so let's unpack those motivations the sources laid out. That drive for homemade seems really rooted in that control you mentioned, like eliminating mystery fillers or ingredients you're just not sure about.
Right.
Then there's the potential cost savings, which, the sources acknowledge is a big factor for many people looking at those premium commercial food prices. And finally, that hope for tangible health benefits, maybe a shinier coat, better energy, smoother digestion, things you can actually see from using whole recognizable foods.
Now, building on that, the sources are absolutely unanimous on this one point. While that control is appealing, the critical, non-negotiable foundation is nutritional balance. Puppies aren't just miniature adult dogs. Their bodies are developing so rapidly. This means they have unique, often higher needs for certain nutrients, and they need very specific ratios for proper growth, especially bone development. The sources particularly flag getting the calcium to phosphorus ratio just right. That's something commonly missed in poorly planned homemade diets, and it's absolutely vital to prevent long-term skeletal problems.
Okay, that makes sense. Getting that balance right, it sounds, complicated. So, if achieving that precise nutritional profile is so critical, how do these sources suggest someone actually manages that while also trying to make it cheaper? Where do the potential savings actually come from, according to this material we looked at?
Right, that's where the practical side comes in. The sources offer several strategies for the budget angle. They point to buying staple ingredients like certain grains or even meat in bulk. That can be a key cost reducer.
Okay.
Choosing less expensive but still good quality cuts of meat. Think chicken thighs or maybe ground turkey instead of prime breast cuts. That can significantly lower the cost per meal. Using seasonal fruits and veggies or even frozen ones is another common tip. And just, having a meal plan helps avoid waste, which indirectly saves money too. But, and this is important, the sources caution that while it can be cheaper, it really requires careful comparison shopping. And you might need to factor in the cost of necessary supplements to hit those crucial nutrient targets, like that calcium-phosphorus balance we talked about.
So it's definitely not just about randomly mixing things together. It requires smart sourcing and potentially those extra steps like supplements. The sources gave some simple examples, didn't they? Like a base of cooked chicken and brown rice, maybe mixed with chopped carrots and peas, adding a bit of fish oil. Sounds straightforward enough on the surface. But speaking of what goes into the bowl, the sources also issue an absolutely critical warning. Many foods perfectly safe for us humans are actually highly toxic and dangerous for dogs, especially growing puppies.
Absolutely. This is a huge takeaway from all the material. Non-negotiable. Foods like chocolate, grapes, raisins, onions, garlic, even artificial sweeteners like xylitol, they're repeatedly highlighted as major hazards. You need to be incredibly vigilant about avoiding these things, period. And this leads directly to probably the single most important piece of advice emphasized across every source we looked at. You always need to consult your veterinarian before you switch your puppy to a homemade diet. No exceptions. They are essential for helping you formulate a recipe that actually meets your specific puppy's needs based on age, breed, health status. They'll recommend the necessary supplements to prevent those dangerous deficiencies, like the calcium-phosphorus imbalance. And they'll help you monitor your puppy's health on the new diet. Skipping this step is just risky. It could ironically lead to serious health problems and, much bigger vet bills down the line.
Okay, so pulling it all together then. Feeding your puppy homemade food looks appealing for the control it offers, maybe some cost savings, perceived health benefits. But it really demands a solid understanding of their unique nutritional needs, being super strict about avoiding toxic foods, and smart, cost-conscious ingredient sourcing.
Exactly. What this whole deep dive really highlights is the significant difference between just, cooking for your puppy and actually crafting complete balanced nutrition that's essential for their development. It takes careful planning and definitely expert guidance.
So here's a final thought for you to maybe ponder. You consider this for your own puppy. If the potential upsides of homemade food are that control and cost savings, what is the true cost involved? Not just in the price tag and the ingredients, but in the, let's be honest, significant time investment for research, for meal prep, and, crucially, that essential ongoing consultation with your vet to make absolutely sure your puppy is truly thriving and not just, well, getting by.